30th of June 2025, and we're still in Radhakund, live streaming this immaculate Caitanya Caritamrta. So we'll begin. Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Titana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe. Anapita Chirim Chirat Karuna Varatino Kala Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Haripurata Sundara Tutikatam Satipita Sadakradare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Pravajanta Manapetyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tam Mayatayo Taravabinidus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charan Arvindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Varadram Tatoma Manasti Katena Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and to our dearmost Nitya-lila Pravishta on Asto Tarasara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all the glorious Vaishnavas in our Rupanuga Guru Varga, and of course our dearmost Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj, and to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I just want to mention very briefly that a very dear friend of mine left this world last night. Her name is Anandini Devi Dasi, and she was the former wife of our dearmost Bhaktivedanta Nemi Maharaj. So she served Srila Prabhupada in very early days in New York and performed many wonderful services for the pleasure of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And then she also came to our Sangha for Srila Gurudev. She was one of the first people to meet my Gurudev when he arrived in England, first time in 1996. She was there at the airport to meet him. So we remember today Anandini Devi Dasi. May her fortune and her journey be auspicious and well. Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi. So today we start on our 7th chapter. So just to reiterate and recap, in the same way that we recap the chapters of the Srimad Bhagavatam, to understand actually it's a single compilation, the Bhagavatam, and not just take the chapters singularly and individually out, separating them from the principal truths that are opened up throughout the whole book, for example, of this Caitanya Caritamrta. So the first chapter, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, gives us an absolute brilliant conception of Guru. The spiritual masters are described in the first chapter. The second chapter, he establishes irrevocably that Sachinandan Gaurahari is that supreme personality of Godhead, that Swayam Bhagavan. So these two truths have to be utterly captured before we can fully put our hearts into this scripture. And then the third chapter, straight away, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is giving us the descriptions of the external reasons for Mahaprabhu's advent. There are internal reasons and there are external reasons. And my Gurudev used to describe also as primary and secondary, which are slightly different, but I'm not going to confuse it today. We'll just stick with Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's presentation. So in the external chapter 3, there's a description of the loud calling of Advaita Acharya and to gift the Mahamantra to the world, Harinam Mahamantra. These are the external reasons. And then the fourth chapter, which is absolutely brilliant, a most dynamic, powerful chapter, because it's taking us right into the internal, very confidential reasons for Mahaprabhu's advent, was to initially taste prem. Which prem? The prem that the gopis have for himself, Krishna. And in order to do that, he has to take the bhav of the ashraya, the bhav of the taster of the object of prem, Krishna. He is Krishna himself, and yet he's come to taste his own beauty, sweetness, and prem through the prem of the gopis. So all these are very confidential reasons. This chapter 4 is absolutely ecstatic chapter, which we should read, frankly, many times. We've even put a PDF book that you can print out and carry with you, just a small booklet of this fourth chapter, because it gives us the prayojan, it gives us the goal. Why are we practicing? We're practicing to appreciate the prem of the gopis. It's the gopis' prem, that total submissive prem. They gave up everything. More than Krishna. Krishna doesn't give up his family to come to see them in the middle of the night. Krishna doesn't have to give up anything to come and see them. But the gopis absolutely gave up everything. They gave up their reputation. They gave up their husbands. So all of this is beautifully opened out in the fourth chapter. And simultaneously, he comes to taste prem, and he comes to give that rag mag to the world. Prem ras niryase korishva asvan. Rag mag bhakti loke korite prachan. He comes to give that raganuga bhakti to the world. This is the purpose of our practice, is to immerse ourselves in this path of rag. It's not ultimately to remain in the path of Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti most certainly has its place initially. And initially we have to perform very carefully the rules and regulations. And it's described that even later on, in the path of Raganuga Bhakti, we still have to perform the external rules of Vaidhi Bhakti. But we should appreciate that these are external rules, and it's not the internal mood. It's not going to give us the ultimate connection with that supreme devotional service that we've been talking about so many times. That prem for the gopis, that affection, that attraction, that complete heart attraction for the service of the gopis of Vrindavan. Because ultimately Mahaprabhu has come to give something very, very special that was never even heard of previously. And this is Manjari Bhav. Actually, Raganuga Bhakti was practically never heard of until Mahaprabhu began to open out the pastimes of Vrindavan. What was Krishna doing in Vrindavan? No one understood previously Krishna's confidential pastimes in Vrindavan. But Krishna himself wants to experience and taste the moods of the gopis, particularly the Manjaris. And actually later on, in the Adi-lila, it'll be described how Mahaprabhu in one spurti, he actually becomes like a Manjari in the association of Radha and Krishna. So this pastime we will come to. So these are the fundamental truths of Mahaprabhu's advent. And then we came to the biggest supporting aspect of that, who is Nityananda Rai. and that's in the 5th chapter. And in that chapter, we discussed very much about the creation of this world coming from the 2 Chatuvyuhas, from Mul Sankarshan and Mahasankarshan, all the worlds in create. Nityananda Prabhu represents ultimately Sandini Shakti, the energy coming from Swarup Shakti of existence potency. Without the existence potency, how can there be a platform for any activities to take place on? So Nityananda, in his extreme attraction to service of his Lord, Brajendrananda and Shyam Sundar, performs these acts. He's the greatest servant of the Lord. And because of this, he's demonstrating, and he's the embodiment of Guru Tattva. Guru Tattva is all about serving the Lord. So the greatest servant of the Lord is Nityananda Prabhu. He's serving in the ways of creating all the material worlds and the spiritual worlds. From the Mul Sankarshan, he manifests Dwarka, Mathura, and Krishna Loka, it's described here, or Goloka Vrindavan. All these external, it's even described that all the bodies of the Brijabasis, the Jamuna, this is all manifested from Nityananda Prabhu. He's the existence potency. So these truths are splendidly revealed by our dearmost Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in a most brilliant way. And it's illuminated exceptionally by our beloved Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, which is very simple. All of these truths are being presented in a very simple way, because Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was speaking to the whole world, and he wanted them to understand. He was full of enthusiasm for the world to understand his glorious master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who was illuminating these truths through the teachings ultimately of Rupa Goswami. This is all of our line. They're all manjaris, as we said so many times. Then the second great commander comes in the 6th chapter, and this is Advaita Acharya. And we've been through this chapter very nicely, especially the last half of this chapter, just relating to devotional service and how all the devas want to perform this devotional service. All residents of Vrindavan, Lakshmi Dev, the Lord of Vaikuntha's consort, she wants to perform this devotional service. All Nanda Baba wants to perform devotion. Mother Yashoda wants to perform devotion. Krishna himself looks for ways where he can perform devotional service. And he performs devotional service by pacifying the man of Sri Radhika. Radhika goes into those very high states of man so that Krishna can perform service to. Sri Radhika is the embodiment of Swarup Shakti, the energy, Shakti Tattva of Krishna. We will come to that when we discuss Gadadhar. So this last part of this chapter 6 was really, really exceptionally special, most beautiful, beautiful part. And we should know where all these truths are so that we can refresh them constantly. We should know, if I want to be refreshed, even if I'm giving some pravachan or something of that nature about devotional service, the last part of this chapter really opens that, because Advaita Acharya himself, he's Mahavishnu, he's Sadashiva. He also is in a mood entirely of servant. And in the beginning of the Gora pastimes, it's as if he's being cheated of that service, because Mahaprabhu is honoring him as his Guru Bhai, even more than his Guru, his Param Guru Bhai, because he's a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, whose disciple is Ishwara Puri, who is the Guru of Sachinandan Gaura Hari. So Advaita Acharya is to be most honored and respected, plus his senior years. It's described Advaita Acharya lived to an age of practically 120, 130 years old. And when Mahaprabhu was born, Advaita Acharya was about 45, 50 years old. So along with Haridas Thakur. So he was senior in all respects, but because of that seniority, he was feeling completely cheated of the opportunity of seva. Seva is the most exhilarating experience conceivable. We described a number of times this, what is it? Yata mahanti bhutani bhuteshu chavaneshchu pravistyani apravistyani tata teshu na teshu aham. This third chatushloki, just the third chatushloki, not all four chatushlokas. It describes the rahasya of the whole entire Bhagavatam, the whole in 18,000 verses of the Bhagavatam. And just this one verse is describing the absolute secret, because when we come into the 10th canto and we read all the Balya Lila pastimes of Krishna, we need read his Poganda Lila, his killing of the demons and so on. But then we come to the chapters after chapter 20, after the rainy season chapter in Canto 10, we come into very beautiful topics about the gopis. There is Venu Geet, then there is Pranaya Geet, Gopi Geet, Yugal Geet, and finally Brahmara Geet, expressing the absolute devotion of the gopis of Vrindavan, because this is our focus, this is our goal, Gopi Prem. We are in that channel. This is only what Mahaprabhu has given. If you're not in that channel, you're not really in Mahaprabhu's line. If you want to worship the Dwarkavasis, no problem. If you want to worship the Vaikuntavasis, no problem. If you want to worship the four stages of liberation, Samipya, Sarupya, Sharsti, what is it? Sayuja. No, not Sayuja. Samipya, Sharsti, what is it? Samipya, Sharsti, Sayuja. Salokya. Salokya. Come on, you guys have to. Now I'm sitting in front of some people, so I can be prompting some people. Before I was sitting alone completely for all the other classes, but now I have some challenges here. I can throw out some questions, so be awake. So if this is our goal, and even less than that, which many devotees harbor in their hearts, but they don't acknowledge because they're not so knowledgeable, is the desire for liberation. I just want to be happy. I just want to be peaceful in this world. As they grow older, make me a peaceful environment where I can just live happily, not be hassled. This age is fraught with anxiety and disturbances from all quarters, from the air itself, from water, from the global manipulations of the leaders, etc. In every way, it's fraught with disturbances. Our own minds are fraught with disturbances. So in that disturbance, it might drive you to a place of just wanting cessation from that disturbance, which is actually liberation. But that is not our goal. This is why I'm reading this Caitanya Caritamrta, to fix our compass, to know where we are going. This is very, very secondary. Liberation is not even on the map. Liberation is a material thing. We're trying to discuss the precepts of bhakti. Liberation doesn't even come into the realm of bhakti. It's not even there. It's just simply material still. It's simply being liberated from the material manipulations and my material conditioning. But that's not our goal. We have to be really clear. We have to write it down and be very, very... We have to tell ourselves 100 times a day, what is the goal? I said previously in one class, I was saying how my Gurudeva said, 5 times a day, check your compass. From early morning until you close your eyes in sleep, check your compass. What is my heart's desire? Is my heart desire wanting anything material? We just discussed in our Bhagavatam class, if you have a subtle body, when you leave this body, if your subtle body is still active, subtle body means the place where all our material desires are contained, within the subtle body. If the subtle body is active at the time of death, for sure, we must have another body to fulfill those unfulfilled desires. There's 4 types of karma, parabdha and aparabdha. These are in the external world, and then there's kuta and bij. These are in subtle. and germinating desires. And if these desires aren't fulfilled, then Krishna will so kindly give us another body so you can fulfill them. He's very generous. Huh? Yes. So beware. If you have subtle desires, you will get another body because Krishna is so kind. Oh, you had a desire for this. Okay, take another birth. It's not an easy path in one sense. It's easy to get on the trail, to get rid of our superfluous material situations. That's a reasonably simple stage. But then the work begins of cultivating bhakti or devotion. This is where we must have this Caitanya Caritamrta. So Advaita Acharya is that great stalwart that's describing, particularly in the 6th chapter, his own urge and desire for devotional service. And there's a beautiful pastime that will be described in the, actually is described most graphically in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, where Advaita Acharya begins to preach because he's feeling very unhappy about Mahaprabhu constantly respecting him. So he begins to preach Mayavad philosophy, which was the purpose why he called Krishna to defeat all this Mayavad philosophy. Advaita Acharya has not come to preach Braja Prem. That's not his mission. He's not empowered to do that. That's Mahaprabhu's mission. He's come to preach Shuddha Bhakti. That's what he's come to give the world. He's come to break the Mayavad conceptions, and we've talked endlessly about Mayavad, etc. Particularly in the chapter 5 of Nityananda Prabhu, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, referencing the Mayavad. Okay, so that's a brief recap of the 6 chapters. So try to hold those 6 chapters in your mind, Guru, and then Krishna as Mahaprabhu entirely, and then the external reasons, internal reasons, Nityananda and Advaita Acharya. Try to keep this, have it on recall, so to speak, so you can get the whole picture, not just a little bit. So now we've come to chapter 7, a most remarkable chapter. It's called Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. So this is going to describe the Panchatattva in its entirety. We've described 2 stalwarts. We haven't gone into detail about Gadadhar, Shakti Tattva yet, but we've gone into detail about Nityananda and Advaita Acharya. So now we're beginning this 7th chapter today. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Agatya Eka Katim Natva Hinartha Dika Sadhakam Shri Chaitanyam Ikyate Sya Prema Bhakti Vidanyata. Translation. Let me first offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the ultimate goal of life for one bereft of all possessions in this material world. All possessions mean all material desires. This is what it means. It doesn't just mean niskinchan. It doesn't just mean physically without any possessions. It also means without any... What's the point of throwing all your stuff out the window if you keep harboring these material desires that's still in the heart? And even if you've got all these possessions and you have no material desires, then you're way ahead. But it's usually, we can reconcile it, we can see the various extensions of our desires around us. We can see that. But if we're not attached to them, the point is attachment. It's not, the point isn't actual objects. The point is how attached are we to the objects. Like children, for example. How attached are we to the children? Our children, we are like guardians of our children. We're not the mothers or fathers of our children. We're the guardians of our children. Our children have individual, independent spirit souls. If you try to mold them and to be exactly like you, that's not going to be very helpful ultimately. But if we recognize their own unique spirituality and try to bring that out of them, that's the highest benefit for the child. So, ultimate goal for one bereft of all possessions in this material world, and is the only meaning for one advancing in spiritual life. I see here living in Braj, so many people don't understand Mahaprabhu at all. Millions in Bharatvash don't understand who Mahaprabhu is. They absolutely have no conception. Many think he's just a great philosopher or a great saint, but so many do not understand that he is directly Radha and Krishna himself. We need to make a small publication to really educate some. I sit here sometimes on our Parikrama trail in Radhakund. There's a beautiful Caitanya Baitak, a beautiful sitting place of Mahaprabhu, where my godbrother, his name is Paramananda Puri Das Babaji. He was given Babaji by my Gurudev. My Gurudev only gave 2 or 3 Babaji Vaishyas, and Paramananda Das Babaji is one of them. And he's constructed many of the constructions here in Radhakund. He's worked diligently. He's a Filipino, very beautiful, soft, gentle devotee. He refurbished the entire Janavagat, and then the 3 Goswamis Samadhi, and he's done extensively, I think it took him 3 or 4 years, the whole of this Caitanya Baitak, where Mahaprabhu is sitting looking at Shamakund. Very beautiful murti there of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And most of the yatris on their parikrama go past the gate. They don't stop him. Big sign out the front, everything. They just shoot, where is Radha and Krishna? Where's Radha? But how can, they're getting Radha and Krishna through the mercy of Mahaprabhu, but they haven't understood the route. Because the route is Mahaprabhu, but coming through Rupa Goswami, they have to follow this crumb. If it's just Radha and Krishna without Rupa Goswami, it's purely sentimental. So without being educated, so they're not knowing who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, but in the Western world, contrary to that, I think all the devotees, of course, are only familiar with Mahaprabhu, and many people coming in contact with the devotees, they know Mahaprabhu because they haven't had all the atmosphere of Bharatvash over millions of years or thousands of years. They haven't got that whole history. They've just come out of the raw barbarian mindset, and the first person they saw was Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada in most cases, and his teachings, which are fully opening the consciousness of Sachinandan Gaurahari. So thus, I'll read this again. Let me first offer my respectful obeisance unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the ultimate goal of life for one bereft of all possessions. In this material world, and is the only meaning for one advancing in spiritual life. Let me write about his magnanimous contribution of devotional service in love of God. So Krishna's Kaviraj is beginning with this verse in chapter 7. Purport. A person in the conditioned stage of material existence is in an atmosphere of helplessness, but the conditioned soul, under the illusion of Maya, or the external energy, thinks that he is completely protected by his country, society, friendship, and love, not knowing that at the time of death, none of these can save him. My Gurudev would say personally, repeatedly, don't be helpless. Don't be hopeless. Don't be hopeless. Don't be like this. Don't be hopeless. But Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is saying that in this atmosphere of help, how can we help ourselves in this material condition? We're taking help from society. Oh, I get sick, I run to the chemist, I take Big Pharma's drugs. We don't care what it does to us. Perhaps it's going to wreck all kinds of organs in our body. We send our kids, to government schools to train them, to slaughter cows, etc. We take shelter of the society and friendship and love in family life, looking for happiness with parents, grandparents, etc., etc. We create our securities around the material objects. So we become helpless in that way, he's saying. A person in the conditioned state of material existence is in an atmosphere of helplessness. What can he do? All he can do is take shelter of these external things. The laws of material nature are so strong that none of our material possessions can save us from the cruel hands of death. And I just described today one friend. All of us are going to die, regardless of the time. In the Bhagavad Gita 13.9, it is stated, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyada Dukkha Dasanudaskaram. One who is actually advancing must always consider the four principles of miserable life, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. So we can appreciate Janma, Mrityu, birth, death, Jara, old age, Vyadi, disease. Who can stand up and say, I'm not going to be affected by these? All. Our lives are temporary in this material body. One cannot be saved from all these miseries unless he takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And the Lord is the Yuga Avatar. The Lord in this age, where we are now, for the last 5,000 years and the next, 426,000 years, the rest of Kali Yuga. I think it's 426,000 years. Then Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the Yuga Avatar, in contrast to the other Yugas, but that's another story. One cannot be saved from all these miseries unless he takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore the only shelter for all conditioned souls. In the conditioned state, what can you take shelter of to emancipate yourself from this suffering? We can try with various material stopgap measures, etc. Money, making lots of money and think that I'm getting away from the suffering. But who do we know has lots of money is not suffering? They're suffering the most through fear of someone taking my money away, through the fear of the bank collapsing, etc. So there's many pastimes, stories actually, in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, in the 24 gurus. One of the pastimes is the eagle, or I think it's an eagle, or a kuracha, like a hawk bird, gets a piece of meat, and straight away he's attacked by all the other birds. And he's harassed so much, almost killed. Finally he drops the meat, and then he's peaceful. So many pastimes like that, illustrating the futility of trying to, exploit this material enough money to find some sort of happiness. Absurd. An intelligent person, therefore, does not put his faith in any material possessions, but completely takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Such a person is called a kinchan, or one who does not possess anything in this material world. And I was just saying previously, this akinchan means you're not attached. Even if you have $1 billion, like Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj was the emperor of the world, but he was not attached to any of it. Not at all, not the slightest. He was ready to give that Brahman Durvasa anything he wanted. Not attached. The principle is attachment. It's not the object. It's how much attached are we to it. Someone may have nothing. There's a story in Ramanuja sect of Ramanuja. In the bhaktas were complaining about one very wealthy couple that had come to Ramanuja. And Ramanuja, he told his disciples, you go in the night and you steal all their jewels. And they came stealthily in the night, but the wife was awake. And she recognized, oh, these are the brahmacharis from the mat, and they're stealing all our jewels. How wonderful. And then they came, they even took her gold earring from her ear, thinking she was asleep. But she wanted them to take the other gold earring from the other ear. So she turned over. But then they thought she'd woken up, so they all ran away. So then the wife, she woke her husband and told her what had happened. And the husband, he also said, wonderful, but you foolish woman, why did you turn over and frighten them away? You should have left it. So both of them were completely akinchana. But then the next day, the bhaktas were told by Ramanuja, you go into the sannyas ashram and you take away all their kopins and see what is their result. And they came in the night and they took their kopins, and in the morning there was complete pandemonium. Who has taken my kopins? And everyone was raging like this. What a contrast between the wealthy man and the apparent sannyasi. So see, akinchana means not attached. Doesn't matter what you've got. Are you attached to what you've got? Therefore, for the fully surrendered soul who has no material possessions on which to depend or people to depend, it's described in Shastra actually that it's an offense to depend on people. If you depend on individuals for your sustenance, it means you're not taking shelter of the Lord for His munificent gifts. We have this verse, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paripasade, that Krishna will provide what we lack and preserve what we have. There's no need to take shelter in a material way of anybody. If we want to be strong and resolute, if you compromise your strengths, it's actually also saying in the Bhagavatam, if you have many servants, they can weaken a man because you're always depending on this one to do that, this one to do that, this one. You actually become weak. You don't do it yourself. You become lazy. So we have to be careful of this. Therefore, for the fully surrendered soul who has no material possessions on which to depend, Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the only shelter. How beautiful. Everyone depends on dharma, religiosity. These are the four principal purusarthas of life traditionally, up until the time principally of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, when prem became the fifth purusartha. These are the four traditional purusarthas that all the sadhus and sages previously had held as the principal focuses on life. We discussed this many times in Jayavadhamma. In the first few verses of the Falshruti, over and over again it's describing Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying, these dharma, and in Srimad Bhagavatam, dharma projita Caitanya parama nirmat saranam shatam, that don't take shelter of these material dharmas. Religiosity is about rules and regulations and rituals. It's not about the heart of connection in devotion. We're thinking if I go to church every day, then the sky won't drop on my head and I'll be free and I'll be happy. We're thinking the I is there. This is the desire of those religiously minded people generally. But dharma, if it brings us to param dharma, then that has benefit. Everyone depends on dharma, religiosity, artha, economic development. We've said so many times how the governments, our leaders of society, only talk about economics and getting $1 billion from here, getting $1 billion from there, the stability of the country, taxes, etc., because they themselves are so hungry for money themselves. So this economic development, and then karma, sense gratification, is the next purusartha, and ultimately moksha. So this is the limit of these four purusarthas. These are all material. Caitanya Mahaprabhu has not come to give something material at all. It's not in this world. Bhakti Devi herself, we have the precepts of bhakti have come into this world to take us out of this world to the land, the kingdom of the Lord, which is beyond this material world entirely. As I just said, if you leave your body without any material desires, you'll never take birth again. If your focus, your compass is set on serving Krishna, pleasing Him, pleasing the gopis, following their path. I mean, it's all there. We just have to pick it up. What is the difficulty? Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada says so many times, what is the difficulty? The uncontrolled mind. We've allowed our mind to become like floppy with indulgence in so much sense gratification. And these phones that we're all addicted to, me included, are just amazing. Anything you want in the universe, you can tap on your phone and get it. Anything. Anything you want. You can just tap and be distracted into the world, the wonderful world of entertainment. What does entertainment do? It completely weakens the muscles of the brain. So you can't focus, you can't concentrate. When you're trying to concentrate during your japa, you'll get all these infiltrations of the impressions from these videos, whatever, that we've seen. It'll be, completely disturbing. for any type of bhajan. So beware. But Lord Chaitanya, due to his magnanimous character, can give more than salvation. More than salvation. Not even Vaikuntha, more than Vaikuntha. More than simply Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. He can give Gopi Prem. This is what he can give. He's come to give Gopi Prem. He's come to taste it himself. If someone is doing this himself, then we're following. Mahaprabhu is our Bhajan Shiksha Guru. We're following his precept. He's carrying us into this world of Gopi Prem. If we really focus on this Caitanya Caritamrta for our whole lives, don't think I read that so many years ago or something. You have to keep reading it again and again and again and again. Because as I said so many times, it's ever fresh. It's the nature of these granthas that have been written not by man. This is Madan Mohan has empowered the heart of Krishnadas Kaviraj, Govinda Dev. The pure heart of Krishnadas Kaviraj is being inspired. Krishnadas Kaviraj is Kasturi Manjari in his spiritual form. So his inspiration is very thick and very deep. Nothing he says is superfluous. And Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada exactly the same. Therefore, in this verse, the words Hinartha Dika Sadhakam indicate that although by material estimation, salvation is of a quality superior to the inferior interests of religiosity, economic development and sense gratification, above salvation, there is the position of devotional service and transcendental love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, he talks about links. He says, beyond liberation, it's like so many links. Liberation is just a link in a chain towards that highest realm. So we should understand what is beyond liberation, always. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the bestower of this great benediction. Yes, it wasn't there previously. It wasn't bestowed by Krishna himself on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He just pacified Arjuna with the principal teaching, you're not the body, and how to surrender. What is the final verse of Gita? Sarva dharmam parityaja mam ekam sharanam braja aham tam sarve papabhyo moksheshyami ma suchaha. Don't worry, just abandon all varieties of religion and come to me. But what does Sharanagati indicate? It's about you still surrendering. It's not about bhakti, not about me serving Krishna. It's about me surrendering to Krishna. That has to be there. We've described so many times. Without that first step of Sharanagati, you can't go further. And I've given the beautiful example by Bhakti Rakshakshita Maharaj just being getting dressed. We have to get dressed to perform our daily activities. But getting dressed is not the purpose of life. But still we have to get dressed. So Sharanagati is not the purpose of life. But still we have to be Sharanagati to move forward. But understand clearly these precepts. Mahaprabhu said, Prem Pum Artha Mahan. Love of Godhead is the ultimate benediction for all human beings. Shuddha Bhakti, love of Godhead. And Mahaprabhu himself, who is non-different to Radha and Krishna, is giving us that focus of the ashraya, because it's the ashraya that serves and loves Krishna more than Krishna loves them. Krishna doesn't love the gopis as much as they love him. He is reciprocating with their love. They were the initiators of that love, not Krishna. They initiated it. Sri Radhika initiated that, not Krishna. And Krishna reciprocates. They actually have more love. Krishna Bahushaka is described. He's many-branched, many areas. He loves his mother, father, sakas, cows, Jamuna, Vrindavan, forest. But the gopis, they singularly only love Krishna. Only Krishna, that Aikantika, that one-pointed love. And he's come to give us this. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, therefore first offers his respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before describing his magnanimity in bestowing love of God. This is so magnanimous to bestow love of God. Text 2. Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Sri Krishna Chaitanya Tanhar Charana Shrita Se Banda Danya. Let me offer glorification to the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who has taken shelter of his lotus feet is the most glorified person. Whether we acknowledge it or not, we are the most glorified personalities in the universe because we have taken shelter of Mahaprabhu. We are not looking for our own glory in a fraction. Nevertheless, by all the devas, they will glorify those fortunate souls who have taken shelter of the teachings of Mahaprabhu. They are so simple to follow. And if we hear them patiently, they're completely filled with joyful realizations. Susukam, Advayam. Prabhu means master. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the supreme master of all masters. Therefore, he is called Mahaprabhu. Any person who takes shelter of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most glorified because by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is able to get promotion to the platform of loving service to the Lord, which is transcendental to salvation. It's also transcendental to Vaikuntha. It's also transcendental to Mathura or Dwarka. All these realms have to be understood for what they represent. Where is Aishwarya Dham? Aishwarya Dham is outside of Madhurya Dham. Mahaprabhu is giving us this Madhurya Prem. It's an exceptional sweetness of his pastimes. And if we read the various books of the Goswamis, these teachings will come out, especially Sanatana Goswami in his Brihat Bhagavatamrita. He describes so beautifully the path of devotion in two different stories, we can say. All of us should look at this Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Exceptional. Text 3. Purve Guruvaldi Chaya Tattva Kaile Namaskara Guru Tattva Kahiyache Eva Panchar Vichara. Translation. In the beginning, I have discussed the truth about the spiritual master. That was in the first chapter. Now I shall try to explain the Panchatattva. It's inconceivable, so he uses the word try. He's going to try and explain it. It's beyond explanation. But still, if we get the intellectual, logical, rational explanation, it'll put us on our journey to understanding the inner reality, the realizations of these principles, because they're internal, not external, ultimately. But we have to have the external channel to move forward. Purport. In the first chapter of the Caitanya Caritamrta Adi-lila, the author Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has described the initiating spiritual master and the instructor spiritual master, our Diksha and Shiksha gurus. In the verse beginning with the words Vande Gurun Isha Bhaktan Isham Isha Vatarakam. In that verse there are 6 transcendental subject matters, of which the truth regarding the spiritual master has already been described. Now the author will describe the other 5 tattvas, truths, namely Isha Tattva, the Supreme Lord, his expansion tattva, his incarnation tattva, his energy tattva, and his devotee tattva. So there were 6 truths in the very first verse. Just see how systematically Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj is constructing this Caitanya Caritamrita. So beautifully for our disorganized minds. His mind is not disorganized at all. It's completely step by perfect step by perfect step. The first verse described 6 principles of the spiritual masters. He's described one of them. Now there's 5 tattvas. The first tattva is Mahaprabhu himself. The second is Bhakta Swarup, that devotional personality of Nityananda. The third is the devotional incarnation, that is the Bhakta avatar, that is Advaita Acharya. And then the devotional energy, Shakti Tattva, that is Gadadhar. And then that devotional Tattva itself, Srivas Thakur, described as Bhakti Akya, the devotee himself. So now he's going to unpack these five principles of the Panchatattva. How exciting is this book? I mean, it's just phenomenal. It's so beautiful. Text 4. Panchatattva avatrina vaitarya sange Panchatattva lana karine sankirtana range. Translation: these 5 tattvas incarnate with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and thus the Lord executes his Sankirtan movement with great pleasure. So how wonderful to get the picture. These 5 tattvas are manifesting with, alongside Mahaprabhu. Purport: in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32, there is the following statement regarding Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Practically in the Bhagavatam, there's only one verse, and it's this verse that describes Mahaprabhu. Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sangopangastra Parsadam Yajna Sankirtanam Priya Yajanti Hi Sumedashaha. Very important verse indeed. In the age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence, this is Sumedashaha. Su is a prefix for extra. Medashaha means intelligence. Sumedashaha, for intelligent people with sufficient intelligence, will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates by performance of the Sankirtan Yajna. So simple, the Sankirtan Yajna, just vibrating this Maha Mantra in congregational chanting. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always accompanied by his plenary expansion, Sri Nityananda Prabhu. His incarnation, Sri Advaita Prabhu, that is Mahavishnu, we've just discussed. His internal potency, his Shakti Tattva, Sri Gadadhar Prabhu, and his marginal potency, Srivas Prabhu. He is in the midst of them as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always accompanied by these other tattvas, 4 other tattvas. Therefore, our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are complete when we say Sri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda. These are the 5 principles of the Panchatattva. As preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement, we first offer our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by chanting this Panchatattva mantra. When we say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There are 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but these are not considered in the chanting of the Panchatattva mantra, namely Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Mahavadanya Avatar, the most magnanimous incarnation, for he does not consider the offenses of the fallen souls. Thus, to derive the full benefit of the chanting of the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we must first take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and learn the Panchatattva Mahamantra, and then chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That will be very effective. In Krishna's incarnation, he says, what's that verse? All surrender unto me. Yayata mam prapadyante tam stataipa prajamyaham. Everyone surrenders unto me. But in Krishna Lila, he asks, do you have the adhikar? Do you have the pot that I can give you these truths? Are you qualified to take these truths? Mahaprabhu, without qualification, he'll give us the pot and he will fill the pot. This is how my Gurudev has described it. He will give us the pot and fill the pot, even if we're completely without any adhikar or qualification. Exactly like the example of most of the Western devotees are not coming from high Brahmin families or anything of that nature. They're coming from very low class, the lowest class in some occasions, families, broken families, etc. This Varna Sankar is rampant in the Western world, and it's coming into Bharatvarsh very quickly. But even with no qualification, we can see, receive, and even appreciate Mahaprabhu and this Maha Mantra. So this is the truth of what Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is saying. Actually, there's a very beautiful pastime I just want to share briefly. I was hearing this the other day, that Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, when Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada came to visit him, he chose to live on the land at Bhubaneswara, without any electricity practically, with no water, in a very simple, austere place. And Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj was staying in one room and Prabhupada was staying in the other room. And one day, this particular disciple of Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj is relating this pastime. And he says that I came to see my Gurudev, Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, but he wasn't there. Instead, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was sitting on the veranda in a chair alone, completely alone. And he was laughing and laughing and laughing in a really full belly laugh. And this devotee was really curious. He was looking around. Why is he laughing? Who is making him laugh? What is he? It was such a full laugh. And this disciple became very curious. And later on, he came to his Guru Maharaj to ask him if he could explain this, but his Guru Maharaj was busy that night. But still this question had to be answered by this intelligent disciple. So he came the next day. He couldn't see him at midday, and he saw his Guru Maharaj in the evening alone. And he could inquire, I came the other day to see you, and Prabhupada was sitting alone. And he was laughing, full belly laugh, really loudly. And there was no one around. There was absolutely no one around. And he was telling this to Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj. And Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj began to smile and said, yes, Narada Muni came. And he was speaking with Narada Muni. And Narada Muni was saying, you know, when Mahaprabhu came through the Jarikanda forest, and he made all the lions dance with the deer, and he made all the tigers embrace the poisonous snakes. He made all the animals become unenvious completely. This is what you're doing in the Western world. All these envious people, they're dancing, and Prabhupada was laughing and laughing at this analogy of the Jarikanda forest. Everyone was losing their envy of this exceptional personality, this most loving personality of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So Narada Muni was relating this to Prabhupada. So like that, we are from that land. We are from that very, very envious land. But by the mercy of our Guru Varga, we have been touched by these transcendental truths to open up the avenues of consciousness in our minds, which is what the Hare Krishna mantra does. And especially our Diksha mantras. They open up the subconsciousness of the mind. And if we're living a sattvic lifestyle, carefully following the 4 principles of religion, if we're very carefully following these principles, then these transcendental realizations will be able to manifest in our consciousnesses very easily. They'll come through. Taking advantage of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many unscrupulous devotees manufacture a Mahamantra of their own. Sometimes they sing Bhaje Nitai Gaura Radhe Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram, or Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna Sri Radha Govinda. So we hear the Mahaprabhu wasn't chanting this mantra. This is where we should take our cue from. If you go to Puri, for example, at the place of Haridas Thakur, it's very unfortunate. He's the Namacharya. Facebook seems to have finished. Oh, they're both stopped. YouTube. I've gone into mobile data on YouTube. Okay, we've gone an hour. I think that's why we get an hour window here. I'll finish this purport and then we'll close today. But these unscrupulous, less intelligent men confuse the entire process, because it's a process. It's a process, this Mahamantra. When we understand the nature of this Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Radha and Krishna are together. The prem is between the two of them. And then Hare Krishna, again, meeting. And then Krishna Krishna, separation. And then Hare Hare, separation. It's a very powerful dynamic. And then Hare Rama, the enjoyer of Radha. Hare Rama, meeting. And then Rama Rama, separation. All of a sudden, separation. So meeting, separation, meeting, separation. There's a principal rhythm to it. And if we are following the Astakaliya Leelas and Smarnam, then this Mahamantra will fit perfectly. But the way these mantras are completely concocted. And it's not going to give the Manjari Bhav fruit that Sachinanda and Gaurahari desire to give. We'll be cheated. But these unscrupulous, less intelligent men confuse the entire process. Of course, since they are also devotees, they can express their feelings in that way. But the method prescribed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pure devotees is to first chant the full Panchatattva mantra and then chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So forgive me, we haven't got very far today because we've just started this chapter and I wanted to bring us up to speed with the previous chapters of the Caitanya Caritamrta. So we'll continue tomorrow with this 7th chapter of Caitanya Caritamrta. Shri Panchatattva ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Go, Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Rupanuka Guru Varga ki jai, Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Panchatattva ki jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Go, Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavivacha, Patitanam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha.